Hey you guys, so today I'm going to give you guys my opinion on the new It Cosmetics Superhero Palette. So I have used it a few times this week, and I just want to kind of walk you through my opinion of the palette, show you guys a swatch of the palette, yeah, and just kind of let you know my thoughts. So the palette is this guy right here, so it's a nice, pretty good size when you look, when you have in your hands a good kind of hardy palette, right? The packaging is just kind of like that cardboard, very sleek though. I wouldn't say the packaging is like super fancy, but I do like the slimness of it. I do like the I kind of like that it's simple, it would travel really well and pack really well. When you open the palette, you have 12 different eyeshadows. You have 3 superhero nudes, 3 superhero neutrals, and 3 superhero liners. And then you also have 3 superhero eye foundation shades. So I got on Sephora's website and kind of did, not Sephora, Ulta's website, sorry. And I did a little bit more research on this palette and kind of read up on it a little bit. So supposedly this palette is designed with like anti-aging properties. I think it was developed with like plastic surgeons so that the ingredients were kind of assisting in anti-aging. So that's kind of cool. I don't really know how much I believe all of that. I mean, not that I don't believe that it wasn't developed with that. I do, but I don't really know how like beneficial that is with anti-aging. Maybe it is, who knows, but it's just eyeshadow. But so the as far as the shade range goes, I'm going to show you a swatch on my arm that I have no primer underneath this, so you can kind of see how the shadows swatch on the skin. Keep in mind I do have a pretty dark tan right now, so the shadows are going to look a little bit not as bright as they would on someone with more fair skin. So that's something to keep in mind. And there's no primer. So with a primer, the shadows are going to be more intense and more bold, obviously. But you can see in the swatch that a couple of the shadows are a little bit patchier than others. But let's just kind of walk through the shades that you get. So the eye foundation shades up top are like the base colors. So these would be like your all over shadows, which is nice because you have 2 kind of more matte, but I like them because they're kind of a creamier matte. They're not a real like chalky or dusty matte. They kind of have like this creamy, almost satin feel to them. But I like that you get more of like a pink based one, and then you have one that has more of a yellow, and then you have one that has a shimmer to it too. So that's really nice. I do like the superhero nudes that you get. The same thing, you get something kind of more beigey. You get something, sorry that mirror is reflecting that light. You get something with more pink, and then you get a nice bronze. For your superhero neutrals, you get this really yellow gold, and then you get this really pretty, I always call it a satin taupe shade, but satin taupe is the name of an eyeshadow from MAC that is one of my absolute favorites, and it looks just like this. It's just that really pretty, like taupey, purpley, taupey shimmer shadow. So I really like this. I feel like this shadow right here is a good shadow on its own. And then you get this color called Fearless, which is like a red brick shimmer. I'm actually wearing it today. Actually, my eye look incorporated, what did I use? I used this one underneath my brow. I used this in my inner corner along with this, and then I used this one in my outer corner, and then I used this to deepen it. So I actually kind of used this palette, most of this palette for my look. The one thing that this palette is missing that just jumps right at me is a transition shade. I don't really feel like any of these eyeshadows are really great for transition shades, so I feel like for me personally, I could never really complete a full eyeshadow look with this palette. I had to actually go and use 2 other eyeshadows to create this makeup look. Not that you have to use that many shadows, but I would feel like I would at least need to grab a transition shade from another eyeshadow palette to complete a look the way that I wanted it to look. So, and then you get these 3 shadows here, which they're calling liner shadows. These are the ones that I noticed tend to be more chalky in my swatch. I'll show you guys again, but they just didn't have a real consistent swatch. I felt like they were chalky and a little patchy. So I actually use this in my outer corner. I did not use it for liner today, but you could always do things like wet your brush to kind of make it more consistent or have more of a, just a really like punch of color payoff and not like a patchy, chalky finish. So as far as my opinion on this palette, I would have to say it's not a palette that I feel like you have to have. There's nothing super special about this palette in my opinion. There's no shadows in this palette that really jump out to me as something special. There are some good basics, but I feel like they're good basics in most eyeshadow palettes, right? So aside from it being like new, I don't really know that there is anything about this palette that makes it stand out to me. That's just my opinion. I hope that doesn't upset anyone, but I just wanted to share my thoughts on this palette. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!
Hey, don't you think I can see that you've been looking?